Grab your flowcharts, Wargamers. We've got a complicated one here on Bellum Munda. That Bellum, the beautiful war. We're talking about a horse and musket campaign that's been going on for quite some weeks. We're up to episode 14. That's going to be like 7 hours of entertainment we've gotten out of this. What an incredible bargain that is. 7 hours is like, I don't know, it's like half of a Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's February 23rd. We have just concluded a defeat of General Irwin's Alban force at the hands of General Typhonus. So in the rematch, General Typhonus comes out ahead. Remember, General Irwin had sailed along the coast, put inshore here thinking to besiege Mudbourne. Instead, he got cut off by General Typhonus, fought his way clear, ran back here, was feeling so good about his chances of defending the southern flank that he sent 15 AP worth of reinforcements north to help General Meltzer, who had been smashed by the Tenebran General Lackey. However, while they were headed north, Meltzer, in a rematch, beat Lackey. So in each case, on each front, these generals are trading victories, and as one victorious general sends reinforcements to the other front, the other general sends reinforcements south. And this time, because this battle happened first, it made a huge difference. Now, to be honest with you, in this battle, the Battle of Humbrados Bridge, there was, oh, that's Dacquesville. Hold on, I gotta go this way. There was, what we saw is these guys tried to establish a defensive front here. These guys tried to come around here, and there was just no match as the center punch was just too strong. And to be honest with you, the strategy didn't make a whole lot of difference. When you're rolling 1s versus 6s in melee, it doesn't matter what your strategy is, you're going to take it on the chin. The Albans lost a lot of troops fairly early on. There wasn't even a whole lot of disruption that the horses could get involved with, but that's where we need to talk about the aftermath of this battle. It's the evening of the 23rd, and the Albans are in some disarray. Now, they are not scattered all over the battlefield. They've got a clear line of retreat along this coast road. And I guess, well, this wouldn't be the coast road, would it? Perhaps there's a crossroad over here just off the map. But do I need to lock that in? There, that might be a little easier to look at. We are down in this area, so General Irwin is going to retreat to Sun Harbor. And let's take a look at the body count for that battle before we decide what General Irwin is going to do next. Because the body count isn't over after the shooting stops. After the shooting stops and one side's forces have realized they're the losing side, they tend to do things like run away as fast as they can. Discipline falls apart, and the cavalry on the winning side, now it's your time to shine. And of course, by shine, I mean stab running men in the back as they're trying to get away. So we got to look at what was the situation on the ground as things fell apart. Tony Bath, in his Ancient Wargaming, provides some guidance for us, and that's what we do. We look at, well, from General Irwin's perspective, he has lost a total of 4 units, and he's got another one disrupted that is left on the table. So, from the battlefield casualties, we find that you lose 25% of your men are wounded and 25% are killed outright. In this case, because Irwin is the loser, those injured men are going to be taken captive. And what we find is that he loses anywhere, and that's of the guys that are on the table. So he loses anywhere from 260 to 500 men to dead and captured right out of the gate. Then his forces have pulled back, and we got to worry about the cavalry pursuit. The factors we look at are as follows. The Irwin does have 3 dragoons and a unit of fresh cuirassiers. And those cuirassiers were not active in the battle. Like, they just barely came on. So he's got, I am calling this an effective cavalry screen. He gets a +1 for that. He has favorable ground, and here's where we need to look at the weather for the 24th. Everybody collapses, is very tired. And look at that, on the 24th, we've got a light rain. Not only do we have a light rain, so that's going to limit visibility. Not only do we have light rain, but we are fighting on the Alban home turf, right? We are in Alban territory. So I'm giving Irwin a +1 for that. And because he had pretty good sense of lines, there wasn't a whole lot of disorder at the end of the battle. His boys were still fairly well lined up in this region. I'm giving him a +1 for that. Unfortunately, General Typhonus has 2, 4, 6 units of dragoons. Now, I'm no mathematologist, but I'm pretty sure 6 is more than 4. Call the cuirassiers, give them 2, count them as 2, because they're heavy cavalry. Light cavalry can't stand up to that. Call it 5 to 6. I'm still giving a slight edge to General Typhonus. So there's a -2 for that. And then because, well, that's both because the cavalry are fresh and because they're cavalry. So that's going to be a neutral. And on a 0, when you factor up all those, you're looking at an additional 30% losses. And in this case, it's going to be 15% dead, 15% captured. And that's of the people who have survived the battle. So after you do your 50% losses for the battlefield, these guys lose an additional 30%. They have been reduced down to 112 effective soldiers out of 750. They're out of the fight. Now, we can roll these 112 up into the first White Gulch. This is the second White Gulch line for those of you that are watching on your cell phones. We can cobble together. We can kind of put replacements in. It doesn't work as well, but hey, it's better than nothing. And what you find at the end of all of this is that General Irwin is down to just 2 line infantry, his untouched light infantry, and even the grenadiers are gone. So he really is looking at a total of 3 regiments of infantry. He's got his 4 regiments of dragoons. And then he's got, the batteries, it's ugly. He lost one outright, and he lost one that was disrupted at the end of the battle. So I'm saying that General Irwin now is basically down, what I got, lost 10 guns, lost 3. He's down to just 12 guns. All right, and the lost guns can be pressed into service by General Typhonus. Hey, look at these toys you left behind. It's a little circle here for General Typhonus's units. He's going to be able to add another plus 12 guns. In fact, he's probably going to add the guns that were captured in the first battle, but that's something we need to look at in a second. So General Typhonus did have a couple of disrupted units, and he's going to go ahead and combine a unit here. So even though he's the outright victor, he does suffer the loss of a couple of regiments of fighting, but he gains back an artillery, which is going to be important here in a little bit. We'll get to that. Ultimately, he captures a total of about 720 prisoners from the Albans. Interestingly enough, if we go back to the first battle that they fought, that would be the Battle of... Oh, where are you at, first battle? So Samby was first. It's going to be the Battle of James Lighthouse. That's Samby. Battle of James Lighthouse. At the end of that battle, General Typhonus, Irwin managed to capture 880 prisoners. So now we've got a situation where we've got 880 prisoners, 720 prisoners. Now we can talk about some kind of prisoner exchange. Maybe. Let's stick that in our flowchart of things to consider. So we'll turn the page to, and those prisoners are being held at Sun Harbor. So we'll turn the page back to our strategic map, where we need to know what General Irwin is going to do now that he's down to. You want to go ahead and add it up? It's probably a smart idea. Let's see what General Irwin can call upon here after suffering that terrible defeat and regretting having sent his reinforcements north. He could have used those extra 15 AP in that battle. It would have bought him time, would have bought him a 5th unit that he could afford to lose before he went down completely. So that's going to be 2, 4, 9, 21, 22, 23. So he's only got 24 AP left in his defenses. And the question then becomes, what's he going to do with those 24 AP? I really only see 2 possibilities. He can retreat to Sun Harbor and defend Sun Harbor, in which case we get to do a siege, which we haven't done yet. Looking forward to that. That's the downside of having 3 fronts and 3 armies, right? Greenwood, right, is still up here, looking at Semperatus. I think he arrived on the 22nd. Semperatus is going to be marching up here. But that's the thing. General Irwin, you going to defend Sun Harbor, or are you going to retreat up here to consolidate all your forces with General Meltzer? Remember General Meltzer, if you combine all your forces, you're going to be looking at, what did we say that was, like 28 plus this 29, 60. So the Albans right now are sitting on about 75 AP. You head north, and then because you know Meltzer and Lackey are going to go for round 3. We got to complete that trilogy. That battle is going to be fought well before Irwin arrives. And maybe Irwin waits at Might Reach to see what the fallout of this battle is, and then marches back down to crack the siege. Let's find out. And since there's really only 2 things we can do, I am going to deal out a card, and on a red card, Irwin is going to stay and fight, and on a black card, he's going to head north. Now, I should point out, before we reveal this card, that one of the things Irwin is going to do is leave behind his tattered remnants of forces to defend the city walls of Sen Harbor. As I counted up, the forces that are gone and blown, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's call it 600, and he's going to leave the guns as well. So he's got about 600 men that he's going to leave behind. So 600 men, 12 guns, that's going to bolster the defense of Sun Harbor, I think, if a siege happens here. We've got to talk about what Typhonus is going to do too, but General Irwin, that's it, man. So let me cut this deck, and I'll cut it one more time, so you can see, playing it all above the board here. And so on a black, he is going to retreat. So General Irwin retreats north. And that means he's leaving 600 men and his prisoners, 12 guns, and all the prisoners here in Sun Harbor. So General Irwin now is looking at a choice between pursuing these forces, and he's going to be out of supply somewhat. Well, that provides some interesting possibilities. He can pursue General Irwin, or he can besiege Sun Harbor, and we're going to do the same thing. On a blood red card, we're going to besiege Sun Harbor, and on a black card, we're going to finish off General Irwin. Siege. So General Irwin now, with Typhonus, I should say, excuse me. Typhonus is laying siege to Sun Harbor. Interestingly enough, there's 2 navies here. Kind of wish I was a naval war gamer. I don't have any experience with naval war games. Might be fun to do a naval battle. If we were filming this in real time, I might even tap one of you guys. Hey, one of you guys, can you do a naval battle, equal forces, see who wins? So we're besieging a coastal town. We got 2 batteries of guns. They've got a lot of extra defenders, so we may factor that into the siege. We may give Sun Harbor the benefit of the doubt. It's not just some local yokel militia. How long is it going to take him? General Irwin, now remember the 24th is going to be very rainy. We'll only have to go, about 1.25 inches. And because the next day is going to be fairly sunny, I pre-plot out the weather just to make things easy. Light rain, so they're going to have a slow day and then a good day, and then, oh, look at that, they've got 1 day to invest, and then it snows on the 27th. So let's go ahead and call the siege opens on the light rain, slows them down, on the 26th. April? No. You know what comes after February is March, even in the imaginations. I got enough to keep track of. I'm not keeping track of a fantasy calendar on top of it. There you go. And General Irwin is going to retreat north, and it's going to take him quite a while. So if he cuts across country from the battle, he is about 1.25 inches. It's going to take him 24th, 25th. He'll be on the road. Remember, they can only move a half an inch cross-country, and even that's reduced. So that'll be the 24th, 25th, 26th. He'll be about here on the 26th. And on the 26th, that is when the reinforcements arrive up here. And then it'll take him, I'm just going to go ahead and figure out how many days. 1, 2, call it 3 days. Ooh, that's 3. He's losing a day there. So on the 27th, he's got to rest. And then he can start up again on the 28th first, and then light rain. On the rainy day, that's when he arrives. Irwin arrives in the morning, and he just beats the rain. So he's got to sit tight on the 28th, and then it's just a day's hike, so the 29th. So he could be to Fairhold. Irwin might arrive on the 29th. Oh, well, on February 29th? I don't think so. He arrives on March 1st. So now we know what's going on down here. Siege opens, so the siege will be 5 days old, and the nearest army will be at least 1, 2, depending on the weather, it's like 6 days away. So he's got some time to operate. All right, now we got to talk about what's going on up here, right? On the 23rd, how long is it going to take word to arrive? Well, we like to move at cavalry speeds, but the weather's going to slow that down too. So call it 1, 2, like lightning cavalry speeds. It's probably about a day to get to the road. It's probably going to be about 3 days for word to reach Meltzer. And that means that word of the defeat will arrive with the detachment. So on the 26th, Meltzer gets, hey, the good news is you got 15 AP. The bad news is you are effectively the last fighting force available of the White Queen. Unless you want to give up Greenwood. Unless you want to risk Semperatus. It's possible, right? Word's not going to reach them for a few more days. I'll be honest with you, I'm comfortable just leaving these guys up here. Let's just fight the war down here. You guys are good. The first one to move away is going to see the other guy come across. General Meltzer's orders are to take Grand Point with a 3-2 advantage over General Lackey. He can pursue. On the other hand, the White Queen's soil has been defiled by the boots of General Typhonus. So he's got to make that decision. Do we protect the integrity of the homeland, or do we fulfill our primary mission? And I think the answer to that is fulfill the primary mission. You've got the advantage. You've got the initiative up here. Take it and pursue Lackey. That's what I would do in this situation. But then again, I'm not responsible for the lives of several thousand men, and I'm not the one that the White Queen is going to put on the chopping block for not diligently pursuing my orders. So we're going to do the same thing. Red is going to be go to battle today. Black is going to be, well, let's think about it. He cannot abandon Fairhold either. So best case scenario, General Meltzer says, all right, you know what, I'm going to send that 15 AP back down south to break the siege. That's really what's going to happen here. Meltzer can retreat to Fairhold, and with an army there, Fairhold will not fall. Essentially, you don't besiege an army. How do I put this? The only way to besiege a city is if you've driven off the defending army. If you are in the middle of a siege and an army shows up, they can disrupt that siege. So in this case, leaving your army here means we get to fight another battle as General Lackey. Well, maybe, right? Because we don't know what Lackey's going to do yet either. We got to figure that out. Lackey is in the same situation. Hey, we want a battle down here? All right, well, we'll put pressure on Sun Harbor, do a prisoner swap. Maybe this whole thing stops. King Gloomover is the defender here. He may be happy with beating up on some Albans and maintaining the status quo, reminding the White Queen that she ain't the boss of me. So we'll figure out Lackey here in a second as well. What we really need to decide is what's General Meltzer going to do, and it's going to be the same situation where on a red card, he's going to take all of his forces and go beat up on Lackey, and on a black card, he is going to send a chunk of forces down south. Yay. Here we go. It's the three-peat. Round 3. This one for, I don't know, you may think all the marbles. I don't know how many marbles it's for, though. It depends on how bad the defeat or the victory is. All right, so we're marching to battle, and we have one more reserve force of about, what did we say? It was like 15 AP here. I probably could have written that down and saved me a little bit of flipping. Let's do that right now. General Irwin is licking his wounds, and he's got 2 line, 1 light. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 21. Oh, that's more than I thought. It's about 20. No, he's got 21 AP. So this is General Irwin arrives with 21 AP. And that's a lot of cavalry as well. So if he needs to send this cavalry down there to help break up the siege, they can move a lot faster than if they were dragging cannons along this muddy, decrepit road. The other nice thing is that the weather is breaking. We're a lot less likely to see snow here coming up. But on the 27th, oh, so here's the question then. Does he set out immediately on the 27th? Late snow does not slow you down your marching. I wonder if we fight a battle in the snow. Oh, that could be fun, huh? I mean, not for the guys actually doing the fighting, but it could be fun for us. By the way, before I go any further, I want to talk about this retreat down here. I was at a complete loss as to how to adjudicate this. So I went onto the Bled Adventure Forum, and I went into their Age of the Big Battalions, and I just laid it out. Hey, look, guys, I got 2 armies that, fought, and it's going to be raining the next day. And, what are some thoughts? What can you guys tell me about how that's going to affect things? And there were a lot of really great ideas and things that I hadn't considered. The general consensus was, hey, if you're in retreat and it's raining, then it's raining on you, it's raining on the pursuers, it's a bit of a wash. However, unless you have to cross like a dry wash, that becomes a stream in the rain, in which case that can lead to slowing down pursuit. In the end, I basically gave a slight advantage to General Irwin because he is on home turf. So he can make allowances that General Typhonus maybe can't. I don't know. Maybe General Irwin grew up in Sun Harbor, so he knew some shortcuts and some hidden paths. Maybe he knew where bridges are that he could get across. That's why I gave the slight edge. But, big thumbs up, big props to the guys over at Bled Adventure Forum for helping a horse and musket noob solve what looked to be a pretty thorny issue. They also recommended that I look into the Battle of Quartrebras. I know I'm anglicizing that name. You'll forgive me for having read more about Napoleonics than I've watched cartoons about Napoleonics if I don't pronounce things correctly. Quartrebras, whatever it is. They said, oh yeah, go look at that one. That's kind of a classic example of a force retreating in the rain. At any rate, so it's the 27th now. We have an exhausted group that's just gotten here. We're going to go ahead and wait out the snowfall. Meltzer has the advantage, and boom, he is going to pursue General Typhonus and push him back. And they're going to do the whole jockeying for position thing, and then on the 28th, we're going to fight a battle somewhere in here. Maybe this one takes place south of the road, because I have room to put cross swords. And let's take a look at what the terrain for that next battle between Meltzer's 44 AP and Lackey's 28 AP. And I'll have to go back through. See, I got some notes here for we're doing it analog. Here's General Lackey's forces. He's got a lot of guys that are coming back. Oh, you know what? He's getting back a whole bunch of heavy dragoons on the 26th. I wonder if Meltzer knows that. Hey, Meltzer, where's your roster? What's Meltzer getting back? Oh, his stuff doesn't come back until the 2nd. So maybe he did want to pursue. No. Even if we fought on the 27th, these guys would still come back. Yeah, that's why we track this, right? General Lackey gets back, what did I say, on the 26th? The 27th is too late. He's going to have a couple of King's Cuirassiers that are getting back about 190 of those. 190 each. So instead of at 375, they're going to be closer to 560. So he can afford to throw them into the mix right away. And as we've seen, those heavy cav can make a huge difference. At any rate, the next thing we need to do is I'll go through all of this off camera, and I'll kind of set up the initial battlefield. But for now, one of the things we should look at is what is that battlefield going to look like? And I've got a nice blank piece of paper here. We're going to go ahead and shuffle these up one more time. And I'm trying to think what terrain item we haven't used that might be kind of fun as a special. If we get one of these jokers here, then things get really fun. Maybe we'll do a whole bunch of bridges. Yeah, and the joker will say where the middle bridge is. So, because I have more bridges, and that one bridge was kind of nice. Maybe a bunch of choke points here, the kind of thing that Typhonus would want if he's trying to retreat. At any rate, we're going to do our 4x4, and remember that it's the black cards that are features of interest, and there's your joker, and wow, that's a lot of black cards. No, I guess it's about right. 9 out of 16, that's reasonable. Our quick and dirty chart is going to look something like this, dividing up into 16ths. I'm always fascinated by how much more crowded the table looks when I actually get my little pieces of terrain on there. They're only about 3 inches across, and each of these squares is actually close to 6 to 10, so they're only taking up that much space. But man, when you remove the grid lines, and you actually slap some three-dimensional terrain down, it just really fills up really quick. Which is a good thing, right? I mean, we like having meaningful choices. We like having to decide, do I go left, do I go right? In this case, that 6 and 7 and 4, the 4 and the 6 are going to be heavy woods. And I went ahead and used a green scrubby to make myself another set of big heavy woods. We may have a little defile coming through those woods. That could be interesting. The 7 up here is going to be light woods. So as usual, we'll do like 2 little copses of trees in there. So we're right on the edge of some woods. And then the 2 is going to be a hill that looks something like this. We've got a pair of aces, so we'll connect those. That means we've got a hill and a hill that looks something like this. And then the joker, remember what I said, we're going to do some bridges. We'll get to that in a second. The 2 is going to be, oh my, we've got another hill down here. And then the 7 is more light woods. So really crowded battlefield this time around. Am I missing anything? Oh yeah, the joker. Okay, so this is our joker. Interestingly enough, we don't know yet. Let's go back to our randomizer. I don't have my dice today, so I got to figure out which cards are going to mean what. I'm going to turn over a card. First things first, I said we're going to do some bridges, but man, with all of this terrain here, I don't see how I can justify adding in another river. So this will be a bridge. Well, listen, I said I'm doing a stream, and I'm doing 3 bridges. So the stream is going to cross the table. And I've got, what do I have here? Let's do... Wish I had some dice. That'd make this go a lot easier. All right, we need 1 stream that crosses the battlefield. And I turned back to our strategic map. Water, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but water flows from up to down, from high to low. And I've got mountains here down to Grand Point, which means if we're fighting right here where I said, our streams are generally going to be north to south or perhaps west to east. All right, that's great. That's great, because what I can do is I can go, all right, I'm going to turn over a card, and it's going to be, if it's a number card, I'm going to go from 2 to 10. And if it's a face card, I'm going to go from jack to ace. And that's going to be where it starts. So our stream starts right here, and it flows that way. Then I'm going to do the same thing. From 2 to 10, it's going to cross to here. And from jack to ace, that's where it comes out. All right, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's where it comes out. So our stream is going to come down between these hills like this. And between that river too, I guess. Okay, it's taking shape. Since we've got our joker here, that's going to be our bridge. And I guess, let's see, on a scale of 1 to 10, if it's a face card, I'm just going to turn over the next one, how hard it is to cross. It's going to be uncrossable, except at this bridge. All right. I know that the road comes in here. I don't know where the road leaves here. Once again, I'm going to go 2 through 9. Well, hey, wait a second. It could go here too, couldn't it? All right, so 2 through 9, it's going to come off this way, and on a face card, it's going to fork. All right, so that's a 9. That'll put that right there. So this road is going to cross, come along this hill, and go up there. So here's our road, and here's our bridge, and here's our stream. And that is uncrossable. What a night. Now, again, we have to figure out who is going to be, well, we know who the attacker is. Meltzer is on the attack, but who gets to choose which side? Well, no, that's not necessarily true. On hearing that Meltzer is coming after him, Lackey could have chosen this ground. And if you're defending this chunk, the only way you have to cross is at this bridge. So this battle just got a lot more interesting in my eyes. It's not line them up and shoot. So who is going to be the attacker and who's going to be the defender becomes critical. So I'm going to turn over a card for General Lackey, and he gets an 8. And I'm going to turn over a card for General Meltzer. Right, it's 6 plus his command competency rating of 6. And I'm going to add 2 to this card. So General Meltzer he gets to decide what he's going to do. As the attacker, and the reason this is so important is because as the attacker, you get to pick a reinforcement point along the flanks, whereas the defender has to come on the board like so. The other thing that the attacker gets to do is decide which board edge he's going to come on from. Remember that if we call this road, Meltzer may actually be able to approach from this direction. And I think he wants to. That road isn't going to factor in too much. It's going to be a fight for this hill, isn't it? So the other thing Meltzer can do is if he starts up here, but he's got so many more troops. The difficulty is that since Lackey is outnumbered, Lackey's going to want to anchor he's going to want to protect his flanks. It's going to be a lot harder for him to do that if he's over here. Although he can, deep thoughts. I got it. All of my uncertainty was weighing on me as I drove home after filming this video. We're going to wrap it up here in just a minute. But after thinking about it for a while, I realized whenever you have a problem with miniature wargaming, the thing to do is turn your attention to the old masters. Donald Featherstone and Tony Bath told me how to deal with this decades ago. Chance cards. I came up with 14 possibilities, 14 advantages of various types that each of these generals could take into this particular battle. So I'm going to draw one card. And one thing to point out, This is the only place to cross the bridge, across the river right now, but there's a chance that one of these guys may learn about a ford. There's also a chance that the battle starts a little bit late, or a little bit early, or that a general steals a march on his foe. So I'm going to turn over a card first for the Tenebrans, and an ace means just that. The Tenebrans have learned of a ford 8 inches south of this bridge. That's going to come in handy. The Tenebrans know about it. The Albans do not. On the other hand, the Albans throw a left hook. They have an extra reinforcement point that they can put 6 AP of cavalry to the north. So they're going to be able to put an extra reinforcement point, just a small one, anywhere here along the north boundary. So the Tenebrans have an extra ford that they're going to be able to throw some confusion into the backfield here. And the Albans are going to be able to plunge deep inside despite maybe having a deployment point down here. That's going to make things very interesting. Asymmetric battlefield knowledge. Good stuff, man. Makes this so much more interesting. Got to start using more chance cards. They really make these games a lot more interesting. With that said, I now return you to our regularly scheduled, what would you call it? Our regularly scheduled video? Me, I'm very good host. All right, got it. Meltzer says, yeah, you know what? I want this side. Meltzer is attacking from this side. And he's doing that because if we look at what he's got available to him, he's got a couple of heavy cavalry, 1 dragoon, but he's also got a whole load of cavalry coming up to help him out. He's also got, wait, this is General Lackey. What am I talking about? There's Meltzer. He's got 2 dragoons, plus all that cavalry that reinforced him. He's got 4 artillery. So he may be able to bring his artillery on early and bring them up into a defensible position over here. He may be able to put them on these 2 hills and defend this approach. Even though he's the attacker, he may be able to just turtle up. And it may be that we have a case where we finally do the smart thing and the attacker sets up such an impregnable position, but he can't get out of it, that the defender says, you know, I'm good. And we wait a day. And then the defender just refuses battle and he backs off. And we have to set up a new chart of terrain to figure out what actually happens. We can do that. That's allowed. That would be the smart thing to do on this battle towards the tail end of February. Which would be a shame because I really want to see how this battle turns out. But that's where we're at. We've been going at this long enough. This is complicated enough. I need to shut down my brain. Need to relax for a little while with some painting. And we'll return in a few days to fight out the battle of Random Commenter. I'll see you then. Till then, I'm praying for you.